Showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
Hey, I want to welcome you guys out today to episode 136 of the I Am Salt Lake podcast. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Chris Hollifield. I am the host. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the podcast all about Salt Lake City. Hey, I got a great show for you guys today. We're going to talk about the Black Box Belly Dance Affair coming up on April 4th and 5th. But really quickly, there's something I want to get off my chest, something that really is bugging me, and that's about the downtown Salt Lake City parking. You know, I've never had an issue. A lot of people complain about these new blue boxes. Never had an issue. It's usually clearly marked where you can park, what times you can park. It's free after a certain time in the evening. Great. Not a problem. I don't mind paying with my credit card. Well, last night, I went downtown to check out Folk Hogan. They played at the Green Pig, an excellent show, by the way. Anyways, I found a spot. You know, it had the little metered parking stall there, the little blue box. I knew it was safe to park. Went over to the Green Pig, saw Folk Hogan, wandered around downtown for a little bit, caught up with a few friends. When I got back to my car, there was a parking ticket on the car. I was like, why am I getting a parking ticket? I've never gotten a parking ticket in all of the 20 years that I've lived in Salt Lake City. I've prided myself in not getting a parking ticket. And I looked and it said, no parking between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. And I said, where in the hell is the sign that says you cannot park on this street from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m.? Well, of course, on either end of the block, there is one red no parking sign between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. I did not see that. It was not clearly marked, and I get a parking ticket. It doesn't make sense. So it's a little frustrating to me. Go out and catch real criminals, not somebody who's parked in a place between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. Salt Lake City, you'll get your $30. Hopefully it'll help somebody out that needs it. It just doesn't make sense. And I've never had an issue with the metered parking until now. And now I'm frustrated. I'd love to hear about your downtown Salt Lake City parking stories. Call up the voicemail line 385-202-5926 or drop me an email. I'd love to know if you have any frustrating downtown Salt Lake City parking stories. So like I mentioned in this episode, I sat down with Amanda, Kelsey, and Amber. We talk about the Black Box Belly Dance Affair coming up at the April 4th and 5th at the Rose Wagner Performing Arts Center. I'm going to put all the links on the show notes, episode 136, talking about the event. It's a great conversation. I actually went over to Amanda's dance studio in Sugar House, and we talked about all aspects of belly dancing, you know, belly dancing in Salt Lake City, the Black Box Belly Dance Affair. It was a great conversation with these three women. Something I've never brought on the podcast before. Great aspect to Salt Lake City is a really fun conversation. So again, April 4th and 5th, downtown at the Rose Wagner Performing Arts Center. Before I jump into the conversation, I of course want to mention our sponsor, Peach Treats. You can find her website, her shop at Etsy. It's peachtreats.etsy.com. Peach Treats Custom Ear Art. Whether you have gauged ears or not gauged ears, whether you're a man or a woman, you're going to want to check out the website at peachtreats.etsy.com. Lots of great gift ideas if you're looking for a gift for that hard to shop for somebody. Again, peachtreats.etsy.com. Enter in the coupon code I am Salt Lake and you get 20% off your entire order. Thank you, Peach Treats, for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. And you know what? A few people have actually asked me, have you ever had Peach Treats on the podcast? Go back to episode 5. You can find that at iamsaltlake.com/5. Listen to the conversation that I had with Tiff Blue, the owner of Peach Treats. And it was in the beginning days of the I Am Salt Lake podcast. So you're going to want to make sure to check out that interview with Tiff Blue at Peach Treats. Also want to thank Urban Lounge for their continual support of the podcast. Check out their website at theurbanloungeslc.com. A lot of great shows coming up there. Connect with them on Facebook and Twitter. You can check out all the bands. You can buy tickets right there online, right on their website, theurbanloungeslc.com. Connect with them. Let them know you heard about them on the I Am Salt Lake podcast. Give them some love, and many, many thanks goes out to the Urban Lounge and Peach Treats for supporting the I Am Salt Lake podcast. Hey, before I jump into this conversation, stay tuned for after the interview. There's a few other things I want to mention about a brand new way that you can support the podcast through a really neat site. I'm also going to play a song by the National Parks. They're from Provo, one of my favorite bands. But I'm going to quit talking now, and let's jump into that conversation that I had with Amanda, Kelsey, and Amber at Amanda's studio in beautiful Sugar House. Why don't we kind of have each one of you just introduce yourself right from the start, who you are, kind of share your story on what got you into belly dancing, I guess. Why don't we start there?
I started belly dancing about 15 years ago, and I saw it at the festivals, and my mom had a bunch of friends that were into belly dancing, and she told me as soon as I was old enough to drive myself to a class, I could start going. So it's been about 14, 15 years.
And what was your name?
I'm Kelsey.
You're Kelsey.
Yeah.
For people listening that might not know you. And so 15 years ago, you started belly dancing here in Salt Lake City.
Mm-hmm.
Did you just find a place how did you find a place to take lessons?
Yeah, my mom had a friend that did it, and she told me I could take from her. So I actually lived in Springville, which is past Provo, down south in the Utah County. And so I would drive up here once a week and just do it out of her friend's living room. Her name's Nikki McCorston. She's an amazing belly dancer. She was more of like a fusion-centered dancer, so she didn't really have a lot of rules and just taught me kind of the basics. So from there, I just kind of ran with it, did a bunch of different styles and a bunch of different stuff. And then fast forward about 10 years, and I met up with Amanda in Blue Lotus, and we kind of joined forces, and I started dancing with her, and the rest is all history.
No, I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar with Blue Lotus. Who cares to explain Blue Lotus, or we can even get into that later in the conversation, where whatever's easier. But since you brought it up, what is Blue Lotus?
Blue Lotus Dance Collaborative.
Okay.
It's our dance company. It's Kelsey and I, Amanda, and actually Angela Brown is in Blue Lotus with us.
Oh, awesome.
And a couple other girls. And so we just do different shows around Salt Lake.
So that's kind of the group that's going to be doing the Black Box Belly Dance Affair, I guess. Is that the Blue Lotus group?
No, it's me and Amanda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a different group. There are some members of Blue Lotus that are in the show, but this is really just Kelsey and I. This is our project.
Awesome. Well, since you're talking, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and kind of your history on how you got into to belly dancing.
Okay. I'm Amanda Borba. I've been belly dancing for about, I have to do the math, about 22 years. I started when I was young. My mom was a belly dancer, and so when I was in about 6th grade, so I was about 11 or 12, I went to my first belly dance class, and I've studied with a lot of different belly dancers in Salt Lake through the years, and I just love it. I love belly dance. I have my own little studio here where we are that I teach classes out of, and Kelsey teach classes out of, and we have a few other people who come and teach classes here too. So we have our little Cairo Classic studio and Blue Lotus Dance Collaborative. That's my dance company. And then we have this show, the Black Box Belly Dance Fair. So I kind of have a bunch of different little projects going on. And I teach classes a little bit. And
now, how can people find out about your classes in your dance studio? Is it open to the public, or do you have a website? I mean, or is it top secret?
It's a little top secret.
a little top secret.
There's a tryout process.
Depends on who you know.
It's kind of word of mouth.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you're taking on new students, if somebody wanted to learn belly dancing.
There's a bunch of teachers that teach out of this studio that, teach different levels of classes and stuff.
And where would somebody go to find out about those?
That is a really good question.
Is it on your website?
Well, I had a website, but, okay. I'll just have a little side note here. One of the things that belly dancers is major overachievers. And I am in that category of major overachiever. So not only do I belly dance and have a studio, but I also designed my own website, and I've recently decided that I didn't really like it anymore. So I took it down to rebuild it. But, the side effect of being an overachiever is also that you're
a perfectionist.
And also an overcommitter. And so I have overcommitted myself and have not been able to get back to my website. So it doesn't exist at the moment, but it will be up soon in the future, and it is amandadances.com. Give me a couple of months. And it will be up and awesome.
Until then, we can give an email address.
Yeah. You know, and I'll put all that. I like to put all the contact information. I don't know if you care if I put your Facebook page up on
absolutely.
in the show notes. You know, your guys, that way people can connect.
Facebook's
with
the best.
Yeah, well, no, really, I mean, you pretty much don't need a website. But you know, I tell people, I say, well, what if Facebook shut down tomorrow? You need to have the world would end, right? But
so we do have a Cairo Classic Studio at gmail.com email address, or a Black Box Belly Dance Affair at gmail.com. Hooray for Gmail, right?
And then there's one more, and I want to get more into different aspects of belly dancing here, but just to kind of get through the quick introductions of the three of you that I'm talking with. There's one more of you. So why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Amber. This is my first year with Black Box Belly Dance Affair. I've been dancing for about 7 years, and it was a word of mouth thing where I found out about these girls, and I've just been blown away by, just the expertise that they have, and it's really fun. And it's me plus 40 other girls. 40.
About 45
girls, so it's going to be a huge show, and it's just the best of the best. And
awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, we're pretty much, here to talk about the show going on. I have it April 4th and 5th, right? Those are the dates. Let's talk about, you mentioned 40 different girls are going to be performing.
Yeah, not just us. It's a whole bunch of us.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch. And unfortunately, I don't have enough microphones for 40 different. I mean, can you imagine that?
Oh boy.
So it's a Friday and Saturday. Talk about that. Where's it going to be at? I mean, how can people find out more about it?
At the Rose Wagner Theater in the Leona Wagner Black Box. And you can go to arttix.org and go on the dates, April 4th and 5th. Or you can go to our website, blackboxaffair.com, and all of the information. And a lot of the dancer profiles are up, so you can kind of click on them and see who's dancing what, all that kind of stuff. This year we're doing a theme of timeline, so we're taking belly dance and kind of back from the roots up into present day. So it'll be very educational, very informative as to what belly dancing is exactly. So if you have no clue what belly dancing is, you should come to this show.
It's a good place to kind of learn the history,
where it came from, and where it has come from, and where it is today.
Have you been doing this quite a few years?
Yeah, this is our third. We took a little bit of time off just because we couldn't get the dates that we wanted. So it's not quite 3 consecutive years, but it's 3 shows in a row that we've done. So this is our third one.
Okay.
First time we're doing 2 nights.
Yes.
So typically it was just one night.
Yeah, the last 2 times it's been one night, and we've sold out, and everybody kind of felt like we work so hard. We've been practicing every Sunday.
We call it dance church.
September, right? September. We started practicing in September. Every Sunday since September, we've all been practicing for the show.
Hours.
So, yeah, all day Sunday, basically. And so we really wanted to do it for 2 nights, also partly to hopefully get more people to come and see the show, but also so that the dancers get a second opportunity to perform it, because it's so much work for just like one night.
2 hours of dancing.
Yeah.
So doing this a couple of other years in the past, what's been the response? I mean, is it from the public pretty good? I mean, a pretty good response.
Yeah, pretty good. I'd say in the past, most of the audience members were a few sprinklings of other dancers that were not involved in the show. But since our cast is so huge, we have loads of dancers in the show.
And then their family comes.
And their family comes. But we have had a pretty good response as far as, just regular general public. Arttix is awesome in helping us get the word out by posting it on all of their places. And it's all up on the websites of the theater and things like that. And it goes out to the annual ticket holders as to what shows are coming up. So we have got a lot of just random faces that, from the public.
And you can probably get tickets at the door as well.
Yeah, you can get tickets at the door. It's definitely better if you get them in advance.
Absolutely. I'm just thinking if, somebody does happen to be listening to this on April 4th or 5th, they're like, oh, shoot, I better get down there.
Yeah, and they can go just to the Arttix box office, which is connected right to the theater.
Now, is there different styles of belly dancing? Like,
oh boy.
I mean,
Oh,
is that a
boy.
pretty, did I just open up a can of worms there, right?
You sure did. It's a good one though.
No, I mean,
it's got sparkles in it.
somebody like myself, I don't know anything about it. I've seen it obviously, but
yeah, belly dance is not what you, you think belly dance and you just think like the finger symbols and the, coin bras or the fringe skirts and maybe dancing in restaurants or at weddings or parties or something like that if you don't know much about it. But it really is a very huge art form with many different styles and variations all the way back from, the roots of what we know as belly dancing to today, which is a lot of fusion. So I'm going to let Amanda explain some of the earlier styles.
Yeah, I mean, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued now. I'm intrigued.
So, the style of belly dance I do is Egyptian style belly dance. There are a lot of people who feel like Egypt is where belly dance started, but there's not a lot of solid corroborating evidence to support that. There's a lot of theories and a lot of sort of wishtory, sort of made up history a little bit. But Egypt is one place where belly dance is really big. And so a lot of my influence for belly dancing comes from Egypt. And there you have a lot of different styles. So there's more of kind of the cabaret style or the oriental style, which would be kind of the sparkly beads and sequins and the really sort of flashy costumes and big orchestrated musical pieces and really like soulful music. Then you have sort of like the social dancing, because in the Middle East, in Egypt, belly dance is also a social dance. It's a performance art, but it's also a social dance. It's something that people do at home. It's something that the women do at home together, away from men, away from an audience, as a way to have fun and to bond. And so there's kind of a social dancing aspect to it and a more sort of casual, earthy style of dance that we call raqs beledi. And beledi means sort of the country or from the country. It's just kind of like homegrown and a little bit rough and very sort of, visceral and earthy and grounded. And, so that is one of the styles of dance that I do as well as sort of the more cabaret style. And then we also have like the folk dancing that comes from different regions in Egypt. Egypt is a really big country and different areas have sort of their really specific own regional styles of folk dancing. We don't actually have a lot of folk dancing in this show because our emphasis was sort of on something different. So we do have some folk dancing, a little bit, but
got a little bit of everything.
Yeah, we have a little bit of everything in this show.
Do you find with dancers they're kind of drawn to one style?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. What do you think draws them to a specific style?
Oh, it can be anything. It can be just from the way that the music makes them feel. It can be whether they want to be more of a traditionalist mindset or something I know a lot about is like the more fusion-centered styles of belly dance, which is kind of started in like the 80s to now. So there's you can be a gothic belly dancer, you can be a hip-hop fusion belly dancer, you can be a whatever you want to fuse belly dance with.
I didn't even know all
so
this.
So it just depends on, some
traditional
people,
belly dancing.
Yeah, some people are drawn to like the specific costumes of a fusion style versus the music or the costuming of more of the traditional style. So it really just is whatever floats your boat.
Absolutely. For me, it's always been about the music. Egyptian music to me is very rich and full of feeling and produces more of like an emotional effect on the listener.
You can connect with it.
Yeah, I can connect with it. And one of the sort of like tenets of Egyptian belly dancing is sort of this connection between the dancer and the music, but also the audience and the dancer and the audience and the music. And they sort of have this like give and take and this flowing of energy and this feeling that for me personally, I don't think that you can really find in a lot of Western music. It's different. The Egyptian music is different. It's very much about that energy and that give and take. And, there's this concept. It's called, tarab, and it sort of translates as kind of like finding ecstasy in the music. And so, the singer sings in a certain way and the band performs in a certain way and the audience like feeds off of that, and everyone kind of joins into this like this group experience of ecstasy and release of like all the troubles and all the worries of the day, and you're just sort of like overtaken by the passion and the feeling that's in this music. A lot of the music is very passionate or very longing or very heartbreaking, so it's very soulful, and you can really like put that into your dance once you kind of understand the music, understand what the song's about, and all of that stuff. You can really inject a lot of personal feeling into the music and into your dancing, and so for me, a lot of the different styles and everything is really driven by the music. Definitely, other people are sort of drawn to different styles, I think, for the costuming or for
So does a costume have to go with a certain style? Is there meaning behind all of that? Is there meaning behind what you're wearing?
It depends on if you're more of a traditionalist mindset, because there are certain outfits or dresses you would wear for particular pieces. Or, you know, if you're more of a fusion center, it's pretty much whatever. It's a very artistic costuming design outlet. You can put together whatever you want in the fusion world. And
do you design your own outfit, costume? What is it? What is the right terminology? Is it costume? Costume. Okay.
It depends. We do a lot of designing. Amanda makes all of our costumes for Blue Lotus and things like that. And I've designed a couple that she has also made because she's a fabulous seamstress.
I make a lot of my own costumes. I'm actually like, can I say tits deep? Tits deep in costuming now.
No censorship here.
In sewing right now, trying to get ready for the show.
For the show coming up here.
There it comes back to the belly dancers that are major overachievers.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's something that's sort of like, when belly dance really kind of started to get big here in the United States was sort of in the 70s. And, you know, that was before the internet and before sort of like global culture. And so dancers had to make their own costumes. And so that's kind of a tradition that's been
it's definitely a side
passed down.
Hobby. Yeah,
it is
a side hobby of belly
but
dancing.
it can overtake your life.
You can make a full-time career out of belly dancing though, right? Or could you or not really?
I think if you're willing to diversify and live simply.
I do, but I live simply and I'm broke as fuck, so.
No, I mean like restaurants or like
not restaurants.
Not
here.
It's mostly teaching. That's where I find most of mine. Like I teach at Westminster College and I also teach at Salt Lake Community College. So
belly dancing.
And I also teach here at the studio. So that's where I've done most of my, and it's not a full-time job by any means, but that's the biggest aspect, I think, is if you want to make it a career, is with your teaching in conjunction with your performing and your other skills that you have to offer, like costuming or things like that. It kind of is a full spectrum of ways to make it a full-time career. Yeah. Workshops, traveling.
Yeah, there's not a lot of money in performing.
What's the scene like, the belly dance scene overall in Salt Lake City? I mean, I'm curious.
Well, I'm kind of biased because, you know, we have this awesome cast of dancers.
Yeah, you do. I mean, obviously you said like there's like 40, girls in the...
We have some guys too.
That's why I was
three guys.
Curious.
We can't forget about the three guys.
I was going to ask you, are there male belly dancers?
There are. There's a few.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
They're in the minority, but actually, again, going back to the 70s and 80s, one of the most popular male belly dancers on the West Coast is from Salt Lake.
Really?
And he's retired now, but his name is Aziz. And he was one of my first teachers, actually. So I think.
And do they dance differently than the, I mean, I would imagine.
It depends. Again,
it goes back to the styling.
It goes back to the styling. And belly dance, I mean, we have a standard sort of vocabulary of movement, but it's so much about personal expression. Like, you can get 10 people to dance to the same song, even dancing in the same style, and it's going to look totally different because it's not like ballet or something where this master choreographer makes a ballet and does the whole choreography and they sort of like everybody learns that same choreography and it passes down in that sort of way. It's like belly dance is very much about like individual expression and, your own sort of interpretation of the music. And
yeah, so like a lot of the newer fusion male dancers are very, they just do whatever they want to do versus I know like in Egypt and places there's like a specific style of dance that men do versus the women. It's
folk dancing. Yeah. Like in Egypt for the most part. In the Middle East really, male dancers are very, very rare.
But over
and most
here-
of them are folk dancers.
Yeah, over here in the fusion sense of things, it, is pretty much all are welcome and anything is game.
Absolutely. And there are some male dancers who do more sort of Egyptian or cabaret style belly dancing as well.
So this the event that's coming up in April here on the 4th and the 5th. Are there other events like it that happen in Salt Lake that you're part of, or is this kind of the big event?
This is the only event like this.
Like this.
Where we have a cast of dancers and we work on the choreographies and have specific choreographers for particular pieces and solos and things like that. It's very community-based group effort where it's, it's like a theatrical play. You go and you have your rehearsals and you do things like that. But there are other events of different calibers where you have like your groups that either sign up for a time slot like Springfest that just went on, which is at the fairgrounds, and it's a huge all-day event, like more of a festival type. Or then you have like your, bar shows where you go and have like a specific theme for the night, and the producer of that show will pick like a handful of groups or soloists and say, come to this place to dance in this for this many minutes type of a thing. But this is definitely more like a play.
Yeah, it's like a full-length show with a cast of dancers, and the same dancers are dancing throughout the show in different pieces. So it's more of a collaborative effort versus like a series of groups or solo
that's the other thing. We kind
doing
of
their own thing.
We kind of break apart all of the groups that are available here in this community and place them in the specific dances that they have signed up for versus just working with your one troupe all year long to get ready for one or two specific shows. This is very much break it all apart, put it back together, fit it into different puzzle pieces, different costumes, different styles, different opportunities to learn. It's a big learning experience. I mean, everything we do, most of the people have never ever done the style that they're performing in, or, they get to wear a different type of costume. So it's very much learning based.
Side note, I think one of the other benefits that I've seen in doing this, in getting a big group of people together and sort of splitting people up, and is that I have watched some like really amazing new friendships sort of blossom out of all of this. And I think that that's one of the other things that I love about this event, is that it really has brought a lot of people together, and it's introduced people to other dancers that they may have never known
like
otherwise.
We're a family.
And yeah, so like people have become friends, and it's just amazing. We have an amazing belly dance community here in Salt Lake.
And it's huge.
So many talented people. It's huge.
I had never known these girls last year at this time, and I have been doing this for 7 years. And on the tryouts, it said, come knowing your shit. They don't teach technique. They teach the choreography. You better know your stuff already before. This is really the best of the best.
See the top-notch belly dancers at this event.
If you say so.
So in all of the years that you've been dancing, I mean, I'm sure there's been some embarrassing moments. Do you have any like all-time embarrassing moments that you care to share? I mean, I'm sure there's something that jumps out and pops out in your head.
I do have a little story.
Yeah, I don't really think I do.
So we were dancing up in Logan. There's a huge belly dance community. Well, relatively huge, I guess.
Huge
for Logan.
For Logan,
yeah.
right?
There are a lot of belly dancers up in Logan. And they have some shows up there. And so, it was several years ago now. One of my most favorite dancers, who I just idolize, from California, had come into town, and she was going to star in the show and teach a workshop. And so we were dancing in the show, and I was dancing along, and I could feel like my hip belt and my skirt were kind of sliding down a little bit. So I had like a little dime slot going on in the back. And there's no really great way to deal with something like that. You either ignore it, or you kind of really obviously like pull up your costume. But so I was just trying to ignore it, like thinking, okay, I'm going to find a time where I can really casually just like hitch up my skirt and my belt, because they were just sliding down a little bit. But there was this part where we were in our choreography, and we all kind of got into this vertical line, and the girl that was right behind me in line noticed what was happening and just grabbed my skirt and my belt and pulled it up for me. And I had no idea that she was going to do that or anything. It was a total surprise to me. So I'm just dancing, and I'm at the front of the line. So I'm at the front of the stage, right in front of the audience. And all of a sudden she just grabs my belt and just hitches it up for me. And everybody in the audience kind of giggled a little bit. But then it was all resolved. No more dime slot. And, I got a good story out of it.
Yeah.
So that's overall not that embarrassing. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with telling that story.
Yeah, but it still happened.
Totally. I mean, I've witnessed worse.
Yeah, witnessed.
Well, okay, what's the most embarrassing thing you've witnessed?
Well, just, bras popping open. And girls
bras
having to
open.
run off stage or in the middle of a swooping maneuver and their back bra strap comes undone and things come flapping out and things like that. It can be pretty.
Well, that's to be expected.
That's just what happens.
It happens. Yeah. Safety pins are awesome, but you gotta have multiple layers of safety in costuming.
I tape my boobs in. I tape these bitches down.
Better safe than sorry.
Absolutely.
Right? So, do you guys do any other kind of dance? I mean, or is it just strictly belly dancing? I mean, have you took other? I
do so much. I don't even know where to begin. I'm also in a burlesque troupe.
Okay. Here in Salt Lake,
I'm
right?
in the Salt City Sirens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay,
you should
cool.
interview
you should do a podcast with us.
I would
we have a show
to.
on May 9th. So.
I would love to.
They're amazing.
We are the best of the best. I can say that.
How many burlesque groups are there in Salt Lake?
Oh, a handful.
There's quite a few.
Yeah. And I take lots of different classes. I'm really into modern, contemporary, lyrical, hip hop, jazz. I just pretend all of these things. I'm not formally trained in any of them, but I've taken classes here and there. Tons of different. I've taken every style of belly dance.
I am all belly dance all the time, baby. It's my favorite thing ever.
Because I was curious if other styles helped. Just kind of, it all helped each other.
Yeah, everything helps everything for sure. Dance is universal.
Rocking the dance club on Saturday night, will help.
Yeah, just get out and shake it.
You can always pick the belly dancers out at the dance club too.
We do too. We're like, oh, she knows what's up. She's a belly dancer.
And do you go up and talk to them then after?
Sometimes.
No, sometimes you just go dance battle them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've had some dance battles of the interesting variety.
Yeah.
If you ever see us in the club doing some belly dance, come have a dance battle.
Yeah, I love to. Yes, please.
Well, speaking of clubs, and one thing I try to incorporate as often as possible. I mean, obviously this is a podcast about Salt Lake, the communities. I mean, you guys are dancers here. I like to find out about, other things you like about Salt Lake, places you enjoy, or, what are some of your favorite things about Salt Lake City?
Oh, everything. I love it here. Yeah. This is the place.
Yeah, I love Salt Lake. We were talking about this before we started recording.
You grew
I
up
grew
here.
up in the Sugar Hood, and I just love it. I'm a Salt Lake girl at heart. I'll probably never leave. I live a mile from where I grew up, and I did once venture out to the West Jordan, and I did not
far
like
away.
it.
BF Jordan.
I know. I lived in the West Jordan for a little while, and I felt like I was in Wendover. So back in the Salt Lake City, I love it here. Most of my time is spent belly dancing, but I do love Bar Deluxe.
It's a great bar.
The most wonderful Casey there is like one of my favorite people ever, and she's been really supportive of us. We've done a lot of shows there.
There was one just recently, wasn't there?
There was
I mean, and I say recently, the last couple of months.
Yeah. Was that
Billy?
There was a variety show.
Okay, I was there for the tail end of that.
But she's very supportive of the dance community, burlesque and belly dance and all sorts of dancing. So Bar Deluxe is awesome. The Urban Lounge, Slug Magazine. We love Slug Magazine. They're one of our sponsors for the Black Box Belly Dance Fair.
And Angela dances with you guys.
Angela dances with us. So we love Slug Magazine, Craft Lake City. I love Salt Lake.
I do too, yeah. I can't really think of anything specific
that sticks out. Yeah, it's just awesome. Beautiful city. What about you over here?
The outdoors are good. The drum circles are good.
Do you hit up the drum circles down at Liberty Park? I've always wanted to actually go down. I don't know. I'm too, nobody will go with me.
I might get up the guts to go down there with one of these hula hoops and try my hand at hula hooping this summer. That is one thing I would like to do.
Is to learn how to hula hoop?
Learn how to hula hoop.
I can hula hoop. I tried.
I thought I was going to be immediately excellent at it because I'm a belly dancer. I'm like, I got the moves. I can do this. I can't do it. It's hard.
It's so hard.
It's totally.
So I don't feel all alone now.
No, it's much harder than I thought it was going to be.
It's okay to do it just standing though, but moving is really hard.
Oh, I can't even do it I can't even keep the thing up for more than like 3 rotations.
So back to the event, April 4th and 5th. Anything else you want to mention about it? I mean, I think I'll get the links for the Facebook page on the show notes for this. If you, what is just, you could just search Black Box Dance Affair, I guess. Is that what you could search for on Facebook? If
Black Box Belly Dance Affair.
Belly Dance Affair.
Yeah.
I missed that part.
Or you can find me, Amanda Borba.
Or me, Kelsey Covington.
Yeah. And we do have our website, blackboxaffair.com. Tickets are on Arttix. It's family-friendly event. And we're going to have...
I'm glad you mentioned that.
All different styles of dance. We have from the really traditional belly dancing to the really modern progressive fusion. We have some Bollywood dancing, which is, kind of what is a style of Indian dancing. And it's really cool. This is the first time we've had Bollywood, and it's like an extravaganza.
It is.
It's amazing.
I feel like I'm in Hollywood every Sunday when we watch that rehearse. It's amazing.
We have some live drumming in the show. All kinds of awesome things that everybody will enjoy.
Too many spoilers.
No,
that's why you got to go.
You don't want to miss it.
Yeah.
There's
My
no
words
way to give too many
cannot even remotely describe the awesomeness of this show.
And hear it with your ears.
Yeah, everybody in the show is so passionate about it and is so dedicated and has worked so hard, and it's really going to show. It's going to be an excellent show, and not only technique wise, but also just our hearts are just going to be out there and shining, and it's going to be amazing, and everybody's going to walk away going, oh my gosh.
And the theater's
that was the most amazing belly dance show I have ever seen.
Yeah, there's not a bad seat in the house in that
Absolutely.
in the Leona Wagner Black Box Theater. So any seat's a good seat.
But I'm sure you're going to be happy when it's over.
I'm going to cry
I'm sure you've been going a million miles an hour.
I'm going to cry a
little stressed out.
No, I have been burning the candle at both ends for a while now. But yeah, it'll be hard when it's
really
over
has become
because Sundays are going to be very, very boring.
Yeah, because we jokingly call it dance church because it's on a Sunday.
Yeah,
and we
it's
go
all day.
every week and we're there all day. So it's become our group meeting and everybody's so close, like a family. It's really, that's going to be the saddest part. It's not seeing all of those people every single Sunday. But
Definitely.
It's okay because then it will restart again in a couple of months. So it's fine, but still.
Do you ever get burned out? I mean, doing it? I mean,
for 30 seconds.
30 seconds, you ever just want to say, forget it, I want to and throw the towel in and say, I don't want to do this anymore.
That happens once in a while, but never to the point of, it's mostly just with when you're getting creator's block with a choreography, or if your dancers aren't quite understanding what you're trying to teach them, or if your music cut doesn't turn out the way it's little insignificant things, waiting for the hip scarves to come in the mail on time,
Definitely.
Little stuff like that. It's never like let's just throw the towel and screw it. But
so again, if people are interested, are you ever too old to get started belly dancing?
Absolutely not.
Because you guys
too young.
You guys talk about how long you've been doing it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, what if you're,
We're your moms, your grandmas, your aunties.
Yeah.
We are this generation of dancers is a lot younger than any previous generation too. In the past, most women didn't start belly dancing until they were adults. So, the fact that we're even getting high school age and college age girls interested in it is really awesome. But yeah, it's something that anybody can do. I completely believe any age, any gender, any size, any shape, anybody can do it. It's something that everyone can find enjoyment in at one level or another. It's amazing.
And remind me whose studio this is again.
This is mine.
Your studio.
Amanda.
Amanda. Yeah. Thank you so much for letting us record the podcast.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you were able to come here.
Absolutely. And thanks for... Yeah. And that's the beauty, that's kind of what the idea behind the podcast is. Just each person is Salt Lake, and you guys make up the city. If it wasn't for, all these awesome belly dancers, then we wouldn't have, what the city that we have today. So anything else you want to mention before we wrap up here or talk about? Was there anything else that we didn't talk about or mention and that you want to get plug or anything before we close out here?
Just thank all the dancers.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah.
My heart is split into 47 pieces.
And thank you so much for doing this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sitting down and talking. All right. Many thanks goes out to Amanda, Kelsey, and Amber for coming on this episode of the podcast and talk about the Black Box Belly Dance Affair. Again, coming up April 4th and 5th at the Rose Wagner Performing Arts Center in downtown Salt Lake City. Again, check out all the links are going to be on the show notes, episode 136, or you can search for Black Box Belly Dance Affair. Write in Facebook, connect with them. Let them know you heard them on the I Am Salt Lake podcast. And feel free to share this episode or any other episode with your family and friends on your favorite social media site. That way they find out about the podcast. And if you haven't left us a review on iTunes, get on that. You can find the link for iTunes right at I Am Salt Lake. Leave us a 5-star review. That helps boost our ratings in iTunes. That's how people find the podcast. And I can't thank you enough. Anyways, I want to tell you about a new program, Patreon. It's a brand new site that helps content creators such as myself. And it's kind of like Kickstarter, where you can kick on over $1 or $2. But how it works, just go over to the site. You can find that really quickly. Just type in iamsaltlake.com/Pat, P-A-T, and that'll take you to the Patreon site. And there's a little video I recorded. You can watch it right there. I explain it a little bit better, but pretty much it's a way to for you to support the podcast. And really quickly, I want to mention got our first Patreon supporter, Richard Tyler Epperson. Thank you so much for your support. Really, really, truly means a lot to me. Your support of the podcast and for your support to keep the podcast growing. Like I mentioned, I'm going to end the episode playing a song by the National Parks. I'm going to put all the links again, everything you can find on this episode at iamsaltlake.com/136. I'm here once a week, so subscribe in iTunes, Stitcher Radio. You can find us on the Mediocre Radio Network. This is the National Parks with As We Ran. Thanks for listening.
Things these photographs don't show.